One, go. Hey guys, welcome to Sports Talk with Cam, and I'm super duper excited to kick off the 2023-2024 NFL season. And here's some news that's bouncing around the league right now that I want you guys to know. First off, we got Joe Burrow and his injury in his calf. Joe Burrow will miss the entire preseason after suffering a calf injury in training camp. Hopefully, he'll be ready to start week 1, and hopefully he's going to get his money because he was going to be the highest paid player ever. And the fact that that happens, but I'm really grateful that he's only going to be a few weeks. And here's some footage of him getting carted off the field. You can see he's getting carted off the practice field, but they say it's not going to be super bad, and he's going to start week 1. And next up, we have Nick Bosa not getting a contract with the Niners. So as you can tell, I'm a big Niner fan, as my hat and my shirt. But he's literally, as you can see right here, sacking Justin Fields, one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the league. He's literally the best player on defense that I've seen in a while. The way he breaks through the tackles and all that. If the Niners don't pay him, I'm going to be super mad. But at the same time, I know the Niners, and they're going to pay him. They're not stupid. So, Nick Bosa is Nick Bosa, and he's going to be Nick Bosa. Okay, guys, next we're going to move on to Saquon, Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Ezekiel Elliott, and more not getting paid or getting a contract. But recently, Saquon Barkley signed a 1-year deal for, I think, about $10 million with the Giants. But still, for a guy like Saquon, you want to give him, a big deal. For the Giants, you want him to stay with you because that's your offense. Daniel Jones, their wide receivers, and Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley makes that team and that offense. So the fact that he only signed 1 year is kind of mind-blowing to me. But now we're going to move on to Josh Jacobs, which it's kind of mind-blowing to me that he was the leading rusher last year and literally led the whole league in rushing, and he's not getting a contract or getting paid, and he might go to free agency. The Raiders he's super good at his position, one of the best at his positions, and I think that you should pay him, not as much as Saquon. I think Saquon is super talented all around, a good receiving, good running. But Josh Jacobs, you should still pay him some. A 1-year deal for Saquon is a little, but for Josh Jacobs, the leading rusher, I think he should get some. And then for Zeke, they have Tony Pollard, and I'm not super surprised they let Zeke go. They were talking about it before the season ended. And to be honest, I think Zeke is going to sit in free agency for a couple weeks after the season starts. And then maybe in the middle of the season, someone will sign him, not the Falcons or anyone that needed a running back before, because all the teams in the draft already got everything they need. So I think Zeke isn't going to get paid for a couple months, and I think he's going to sit in free agency for a little bit. So we're going to move on to NFL Power Rankings, and I'm going to be really specific with this. I'm going to give my top 5 teams and my bottom 5 teams that need to rebuild. So let's start with the bottom teams, and then we'll get to the excitement. So I think the 5th worst team in the league is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't get me wrong, I think the Steelers, I think they're one of those teams that just need to rebuild and get their offense straight with Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Najee Harris. I think next year they can be playoff contenders. I think this year they're going to need some rebuilding. So the next team we're going to do is going to be the Texans. I think the Texans are going to be the 4th worst team in the league because even though they got C.J. Stroud with the 2nd pick and Will Anderson, which was crazy, I did not know they were going to trade like that, I think they are going to have an okay record. At best, maybe they don't get bottom in their division. but they probably will. It's either going to be them or the Colts or the Titans. I think the Jaguars are going to be the best in their division, though. Just saying. The next team is going to be the Indianapolis Colts. There's a lot of drama going on between Anthony Richardson, if he's injured or not, if he wants to get traded. He's saying he's not injured, all that stuff. But if he does stay with the Colts, I still think they need a big rebuild. And when I say big, I mean big rebuild. Because they are a team that only has a good running back, and I don't know, who do they even have on defense? Like, we don't know their quarterback situation, and I mean, they're right now looking like absolute garbage. Maybe not in training camp, but Anthony Richardson, if he doesn't stay with them and he gets traded, like, the Colts are in trouble. Like, Matty Ice isn't going to do it for you. He's old. He's washed. I don't think he's going to get you a Super Bowl ring, buddy. That's why they need some rebuilding. So, number 2 on the worst team is going to be the Browns. And for Browns fans, I mean, I don't hate the Browns. I'm just not a Deshaun Watson believer, and not a lot of people are. And I just don't believe that the Browns are that team. I've never thought they're that team. And Deshaun Watson, as I just said, I'm not a believer in him. And that's really all I got to say about the Browns. I'm just not a believer in Deshaun Watson. And if you don't have a quarterback that's ready to go and like has that mentality, then your team's going to be at the bottom. So the worst team in the NFL is going to be the Cardinals. And what a surprise. What a surprise. They have, first off, Kyler Murray is still injured. Yeah, he's still injured after his ACL. And then they lost DeAndre Hopkins. They have no running back. They have no defense after J.J. Watt retired. And I'm not trying to go hard on Cardinals fans. I have a friend that's a Cardinals fan that's on my football team. And this is nothing to do with the hatred of the Cardinals. I mean, I do hate them, but at the same time, I think they're the worst team in the league. As J.J. Watt retired, they have no receivers. Christian Kirk is on the Jaguars now as of last year. And, I mean, I don't even know their best receivers, A.J. Green. Like you guys are going to be in the comments saying, who's A.J. Green? Yeah, you're right. Who is A.J. Green? And I think that's going to be the the bottom 5 worst teams in the NFL. Now let's get to the good stuff. The top 5 best teams that I think are going into the NFL season. Number 5, and I hate the Eagles so much, but I do think it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. And the reason is, I mean, Jalen Hurts, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but also I don't think the Eagles are bad, or I think the Eagles are a good football team. I'm just not a fan of them. I do think they have a good organization. I do think A.J. Brown is good. I do think Jalen Hurts has potential. But at the same time, they went to the Super Bowl last year and almost beat the Chiefs. So it's not like I'm going to leave them out of the top 5. So number 4 is going to be the Buffalo Bills. And the reason I put the Buffalo Bills at the number 4 is because above the Eagles, you would think the Eagles would be higher than the Bills because they made it to the Super Bowl. Just because a team made it to the Super Bowl doesn't mean they're going to be higher on my list. I mean, it is going to boost them a lot, but it's not going to make them above the Bills. I do think the Bills are better than the Eagles, and if they had a matchup, the Bills would beat them. It would be a really good game, though, to watch. And as I said, when Josh Allen's at his full potential, no one can stop the Bills. If the Bills' defense is playing really good with Tre'Davious White getting interceptions and he's not hurt, the Bills are unstoppable. And I do think the Bills have a real shot at winning the Super Bowl this year. So, without ado, let's move on to the next team. The next team is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals at number 3. And I think the Cincinnati Bengals, it's between the Niners and the Bengals. And I'm not being biased between the Niners. Okay, I really do think that the Niners are top 5 in the NFL, and a lot of people should know that. The fact that they put in Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, which is Mr. Irrelevant to you, they put him in, and I think it was 9 games straight he won, and then dude literally broke his whole arm in the NFC Championship game. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I do think the Niners are really good, but more on the Bengals. Bengals are number 3 because Joe Burrow is oh my God, Joe Burrow is so good. Like, when Joe Burrow is in the zone, he's a killer. You cannot stop him on defense. If he's throwing the absolute dots and absolute potential that he can, then you can't stop Joe Burrow. Or that offense with Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, and their defense has been surprisingly really good. So let's move on to number 2. I do think the Bengals are going to be really good this season. Number 2 is, and I really want to put the Niners at number 1, but I know who's at number 1. But I think Niners are number 2 with Brock Purdy. I mean, if Brock Purdy plays like he did last year, this whole season, I mean, the Niners are going to be super, super good. And I love the way their offense is. I'm not being biased or anything. I have a friend that's a Niner fan too, but I love the offense of the Niners right now. With Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, I think that's an amazing pair. And the most thing I'm excited about is George Kittle and Brock Purdy. George Kittle is my favorite player in the league. Not only is he funny, off the field, he's just funny on the field. He's, funny good. And when I say funny good, I mean he's oh my God, that dude's good. When you play him. And I think George Kittle with the defense, dude, but the defense. It's not a lie. Defenses win championships. I mean, in that first half of the Philadelphia game, we held them. And McCaffrey's, I forgot to mention McCaffrey, dude. McCaffrey's going to be major for us at the running back spot this year. And our defense held Philly for the whole first quarter, and then in the second half, they just took off. But defenses win championships. And that is true. And I do think if the Niners defense play like they did last year, number 1 in the league, they have a Super Bowl shot. The best team in the league, no surprise, is the Kansas City Chiefs. Not the biggest fan of them because we lost to them in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Don't like to talk about it. But Mahomes is the best player in the league. And, I mean, I have no hate on Mahomes. I just don't like the Chiefs. I mean, I like Mahomes. Mahomes is super talented and super good. And if you ask that to anyone, they would say he's the best player in the league because he is. And unlike Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes is always good. All these quarterbacks I'm talking about, they can have their downs. Mahomes, he stays picture perfect. And when I say picture perfect, I mean, you saw how he did in the Super Bowl. I mean, he stayed in that game, and he was super good. Even hurting his ankle, he comes back in. And I'm not saying I love Patrick Mahomes. I'm not this Patrick Mahomes fanboy. I need you guys to get that straight. I like Patrick Mahomes, and I respect him, but he's not my favorite player in the league, but he's also the best player in the league. So there you go. Those were my NFL power rankings, and that's how I'm going to sum up my video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.